Guys, you're being recorded. Only say nice things from now onwards. You've had your chance before. Okay. Welcome on board, everybody, to the Edge Designations CAIA Level 2 exam strategy program. We've got a jam-packed, I say afternoon because that's my time zone for the Americans and for the Canadians. Okay. And that side, and even a little bit earlier, perhaps, for some of the Americas. Good morning to you. It'll be a jam-packed morning for you. For the Europeans, generally, Ireland, Germany, the UK. We've got a lot of students from Belgium, Luxembourg. So for most of that area, we're probably looking around about middle of the day towards afternoon. Australians, Singapore, Hong Kong, that grouping. Good evening to you. Okay. And thank you for joining us so late in your evening. The morning, guys. Thank you for coming so early in the morning. So a big thank you to everybody for joining us today. Just in terms of the timing, guys, if you are watching your clock, if you've got something on a little bit later on today, we will be done in 1 hour and a half, that's 90 minutes. So if you want to watch your clocks, that's the best way to do it. I don't want to give you a time because it depends what time zone you're in. 90 minutes from the start, okay, we will be done. Okay. On that note, guys, I want to get going straight away. We have a lot that I want to cover. In terms of the session itself, I'll break the session down really into three components. Okay. Number one, we talk generally about your exam. Number two, we like to give you a little bit of practice, a little bit of, how the MCQ component works, a little bit of strategy around that. We don't spend too much time on MCQ strategy. Most people are quite good at that by now, being in CAIA Level 2, and irrespective, I suppose, really of how you got here. Okay. Keep in mind, of course, there are two paths to get to CAIA Level 2. Either you pass CAIA Level 1, which is the most normal route to go, the most obvious route, of course. But of course, CAIA have also got what we call the Stackable Credentials Program, which allows CFA Level 3 charter holders to join us as well, straight into CAIA Level 2. Welcome on board to that grouping as well. Okay, and then so typically I spend a little bit of time talking about the exam. Then we give you a little bit of exam practice on MCQ, and then we spend a bit of the session then on exam strategy and things like that on constructed response, and that's basically the session. Okay, as we call it a little bit of exam strategy. The name of this particular session, as some people call it, the constructed response class, the MCQ class. It's a little bit of everything, just to make sure that we come out of today's class with a little bit more clarity in terms of what you can expect in your exam. Okay, guys, let's get going straight away. For those that don't know me yet or are joining for the first time, welcome on board. My name is Russell Jude. I head up a prep company, okay, where we do exam prep for CFA, FRM, and of course today's important one is CAIA, and we do FDP as well. FDP is the latest offering, interesting enough, from CAIA, where they do, it's called Financial Data Professional, okay, where it's a complete designation on things like data science, AI, all that kind of good stuff as well. It's a real winner. Okay, just in terms of our website address, we will give you that there. I will, at the end of today's session, guys, that's one of the ways we get to keep you on board, I suppose, but you've got all my details anyway. Okay, but I will provide you with all my personal details at the end of today's session, guys. So if you do need to make contact with me, guys, I ran the CAIA Level 1 session for the guys last week, and we made the same offer to them as I'm making to you. If you've got anything specific that you want to talk about, for example, you're just finding that the workload is too much, should you write in March, should you defer to September, you're only on topic 3, there's 9 topics altogether, what should you do? Anything related to that kind of a strategy in terms of your own personal set of circumstances. We don't typically handle those in today's class because obviously each person's got their own specific set of circumstances, but with absolute pleasure, we do leave you with my own details. And if you want, you can with pleasure reach out to me during this next coming week with pleasure, and have a chat about that, and just get some advice, some strategic advice in terms of where you are in your exam and in terms of your process. Okay, so we make it off. And this last week's been inundated with CAIA level 1 guys. Should they write now? Shouldn't they write now? They're not feeling so good. They're feeling a bit nervous. There's 8 topics for CAIA level 1, and they've only covered the first one. What should they do? All that kind of good stuff. We're not covering it today, but we will cover it personally with each person in terms of their own personal circumstances. Okay. Guys, a little bit of a change from CAIA level 1, if you did do CAIA level 1, and just, of course, if you are reading the textbooks and trying to get a bit of understanding from CAIA, what they are doing with this. I had a chat this week with Steve at, I call him Steve because I can't pronounce his surname. That's Novakovic, something like that. He's head of content at CAIA and head of exams. So I had a chat with him, okay, in terms of the new timing. We'll talk about the new timing for 2025 that is beneficial to everybody. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Guys, when I say you've got 4 hours, it's not really 4 hours, it's a little bit more. As I say, that one we'll talk about. Important to note over here, guys, you write 2 parts of this exam. Section number 1, 100 multiple choice questions, 2 hours. We'll talk about that time in a second again. Section number 2, constructed response, 2 hours. Something very important to notice about these 2 different exam sessions, the first one being MCQ, and the second one being constructed response. MCQ carries 70% of the total marks, okay? Constructed response, 30% of the marks. Okay, so just remember, it is disproportional, okay? And MCQs covers the much greater weighting. Okay. In terms of our timing, and now I just want to address this issue, guys. If you have written CAIA before, there has been a change. I've confirmed this for both levels with CAIA at the top level, so don't stress about it being any issues about that you may not be aware of. Okay, now, what CAIA have come out this time, and they've said the exam, it's 130 minutes per exam, and I've just told you that it's 2 hours. It's 120 minutes. Okay, so CAIA have contradicted that, and they've said, no, it's 130 minutes per exam. What does that mean? And where's this extra 10 minutes? So the exam is as it was before, it's 120 minutes. Plus, you've now got an additional 10 minutes, giving you a total of 130 minutes. Okay, what are these 10 minutes for? Okay, these 10 minutes are what they call are for comments. Okay, let's just say, for example, you write the exam, okay, and you think there was a mistake in question 3, and you think question 27 was confusing and not enough information provided, etc. You have got the ability, guys, at the end of your exam to send CAIA your own comments. Okay, so it's the only time you're going to get to do it. Okay, so that's what that 10 minutes is for. Okay, what happens if you write for 20 minutes and you think, wow, okay, no comments. What a great paper. Okay, but I'm not finished yet. Okay, according to Steve at CAIA, you can then take this additional 10 minutes over here and use that to finish the exam. Okay, so essentially the exam has now become 130 minutes, and as I advised the CAIA level 1 guys, don't even attempt, unless you see something so glaringly wrong or something that's really, really upset you so badly, don't worry about the comments. Why not? Okay, someone else is going to do it. Okay, if there's a huge glaring mistake, CAIA will pick it up. Okay, because remember that they moderate these papers, and if they see, hold on a second, every single person got question 43 wrong. See, it sounds odd. They'll go and look at it and say, oh, mistake over there with that one. Okay, so I'm not saying your voice doesn't count. Okay, I don't want to be so bold about that, but what I can tell you guys is I wouldn't, if it were me. Okay. And remember, guys, section number 1, 100 multiple choice questions, it is super fast. You've got to just write the answer, move on, write, move on. It is like a high-speed speed train. Okay. You guys get the worst deal of everybody. CFA, they've got about 90 seconds a question for level 1. Okay. FRM have got 2 minutes 24. Okay. So everybody's got a little bit more time than you guys. Yes, our questions are a little bit more focused, a little bit shorter. Okay. I had one guy that complained that he found that a lot of the material that we give out is quite to the point. and some of our questions don't make you think so much. And I said to him, I said, maybe he's a CFA charter holder. He says, yes, that's where he's coming from. I said, remember, CAIA level 2, and this is a very important message to the CFA guys that are writing, and perhaps anybody writing level 2, CAIA don't. At 72 seconds a question, they're not asking you to analyze anything overly. They're not asking you to, they're asking very specific pointed questions. Calculate that. What is the answer to that? It's not, what is the best strategy? Nothing like that, guys. That's CFA stuff. I'm hoping at some point CAIA moves a little bit more in that direction. It becomes a little bit more questioning like that. I find CAIA's questions are very specific. You know the answer or you don't. You've seen it in the notes or you haven't. It is what it is for now. Okay. But just remember, that is their line of questioning. And that's why they only give us 72 seconds a question, because the questioning is so specific, so direct, so exact. Okay. Now, what does this 130 minutes do for us, guys? If you have a look in the past, if you had 120 minutes to answer 100 multiple choice questions, there is the 72 seconds that I constantly refer to. Okay. What if you got 130 minutes? I think over 100 multiple choice questions. And what do you notice, guys? Your time goes up to 78 seconds question. To me, and it may sound a little bit anal, I think it's a game changer. I really do. And I think we should really grab that with both hands and not bother to spend too much time on commentary and almost think of it like you've got a full 130 minutes to answer this paper and use it all. Okay, I really think that's the best way to go if we could. Okay, just my 2 cents worth. If you feel completely wronged by the paper, you're more than entitled to give your own commentary. I wouldn't spend too much time then on that. Okay, so guys, your first paper, and I'm going to move down on our particular sheet over here because there's a lot that we want to cover. Your first paper, 100 MCQs, 2 hours, 70% of the total marks. You then take yourself a half an hour break. I do suggest everybody takes that break. Okay. After 2 hours, and now 2 hours 10 of MCQs, your brain is a little bit fried, and it's a very good idea, guys, to take a little bit of a break at that point in time. Okay, now I want to talk about the MCQs first, and then we'll move to the constructed response sections. Where are the MCQs coming from? Remember, guys, they only come from the first 7 topics. Okay, institutional asset owners, topic 1, asset allocation, risk and risk management, methods and models, accessing alternative investments, due diligence, and volatility. That is where your MCQs come from. Okay. You will not get a single MCQ question, I promise you. Well, I can't promise you, but I can tell you that's what they tell us, from topic 7, topic 8, and topic 9. Okay. So basically, if we say, well, where do the marks come from? 8 to 12% per topic. Okay. So a lot of guys say, is it a good strategy? You know, I'm really, really battling, and I'm sure people are going to say that, by the way, if you want my anecdotal evidence that I hear from a lot of candidates, they're battling with topic 4, methods and models, and they are battling with topic 7. Those are the ones causing a bit of a headache. Good idea to leave any of them out? Absolutely not, because remember, each one is worth its own component of anywhere between 8. If you take 8 to 12 marks, of course, that averages then out at 10% times the 7 topics. That is where we get to our 70% of the marks from. Okay. And I'll get back to that one in a minute just to tell you how we mark those then. Okay, guys, then when we look over here, you've got you come back for your second section. If you have managed to survive section 1, 100 multiple choice questions, and you've managed to finish, and you have to finish, no question, guys, you have got to finish those multiple choice questions. It's the greater weighting in terms of the exam. At 70%, you have got to finish. And we're going to go through a few strategies how to make sure that you finish. Okay, you have to finish. Okay, just get that in your heads, guys. We have to finish the section number 1. When you have finished section number 1, okay, take yourself a big deep breath, because your time worries are over. 1. Section number 2, constructed response. That's 30% of the total marks. Okay, and that 30% of the total marks, guys, let me just show you exactly. I can tell you what that paper is going to look like. 100% sure. You're going to get one 10 marker over there for topic 8, universal investment considerations. You're going to get one 10 marker over there, emerging topics. And you get your third question. Okay, it's easy for me to tell you exactly what they're going to be, is 10 marks then on anywhere else. Okay, between topic 1 to topic 7. So just remember, when you're studying topic 1 to topic 7, you're studying them for multiple choice questions, predominantly one other one. Okay, you will get one constructed response question worth 10 marks from somewhere, topic 1 through till topic 7. There are your 30 marks stroke 30% of the paper. Is everybody comfortable with that? Okay, now, in terms of if we wanted to say, well, hold on a second, because we're going to keep telling you guys, to pass this paper, you need 70%. Okay, what does it mean to get 70% on the paper, and how would it work? So let's just say, for example, on exam session 1, okay, you get 65 out of 100. Everyone comfortable with that? Which means you got 65%. Okay. Exam session 2, you got 24 out of 30. Remember, it's only out of 30. Okay. Exam session 1, multiple choice. We know what, guys? 100 multiple choice questions. Exam session 2, 3 questions of 10 marks each. It's out of 30. Okay. And let's say, for example, you got 24 out of 30. Let me just whip out my calculator here, which is 80%. What's your overall mark? Okay, let me show you how to calculate your overall mark, guys. The 65% exam session 1 is worth 70%. Exam session 2 is worth 30%. Okay, and if we look over here, you will take 65% times 70. That gives you 45.5 overall percent. And your 80 times 0.3 will give you 24%. Okay. And what are you sitting on, guys? 69.5, and you're probably safe with that. Okay. Yes, it's slightly less than 70, but I think you're going to be good. Because remember what CAIA say. CAIA say you've got to get, if you get 70, you're guaranteed a pass. But guys, can you see a lot of guys stress about constructed response? Maybe rightly so, but I'll tell you 2 good things that are in your favor for constructed response that should ease your stress a little bit. There is no time pressure for you on constructed response at all, number 1. And number 2 is it counts for a lower proportion of the total marks. Not that it should be ignored. Okay, and I'll go on later. We've in fact gone so far. This is the first year that we've in fact created, and I'll show you a bit later, a complete masterclass just dealing with constructed response. We want you guys to really get that one right. Yes, it is 30%. Okay. But remember, no time pressure. When I wrote CAIA level 2, okay, it's more or less, okay, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years ago, roundabout, okay, and after an hour of writing the constructed response paper, which is paper number 2, I turned around, and out of the 10 desks that were allocated to the CAIA candidates, everybody had gone. I was the last guy there after an hour. And I can guarantee you guys, those guys that wrote were all in CAIA level 2. So these were top guys as well. So probably passed, or at least some of them would have passed. Okay. So yeah, you could do this thing in short time. Okay. Me being the nerd that I am, I took the full 2 hours. Okay. But you can do it in a lot. There's no time pressure for that one. Okay. I see we've got a question over here. Let me just handle the question. Okay. Will the 10% constructors, what do I want, be a mix of topics or only one? The truth is it can be anything. Okay. But and guys, I've gone through a lot of this in the constructed response class that we presented specifically as a separate package. But what we say over there, guys, and I'm going to just say it to you very briefly over here as well. Okay. Now, in terms of emerging topics, guys, emerging topics, okay, there are 8 readings. Okay. Universal investment considerations, there are 5 readings. Everyone comfortable? Now, when they ask you typically from emerging topics, out of those 8, they just ask you 1. Now, that's good and that's bad. That's good because it's only 1 and they don't mix across readings of the 8. It's bad because if that was the one that you didn't learn, okay, that's bad. Okay. Universal investment considerations, guys, they got 5 readings and they typically ask a mix of 2 of those in the sections. When you now come to the balance, where you're going to get your 3rd constructed response question from, quite likely they will stick within 1 section. Okay. So again, 1 section, very likely. Okay. I hope that answers your question. Okay. How precisely do we need to know these readings? Very precisely. And Louis, that's what I want to be handling as part of the second component of today's class, is just how precise. And yeah, it's always been, and that's why, Louis, you're not under time pressure, because they're going to ask you for 2 marks. State the 2 bodies, and this was in their practice paper. State the 2 bodies that are related to governance in the US. Now, either you know them, you've read them, you've studied them, or you haven't. But very unlikely that you're going to just know these things. List 2 advantages of a DeFi system. They're very precise. The questions are not at all, unfortunately, and Louis, this has always been my bugbear with the constructed response sections at CAIA level 2, is at CFA, interesting enough, at CFA level 3, where a lot of guys also battle with constructed response, is you can get by. You can put down somewhat of an intelligent solution, because they're going to say to you, design a portfolio that is best suited to a person that is looking for high levels of risk, low levels of this, the liquidity requirement, blah, 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 blah. And you can put something together, can't you? Because you say, well, listen, if he's averse to risk, well, let's give him a little bit on the bond component side. Oh, let's diversify with some global bonds. And you can talk your way somewhat through it. Not here. Okay. And that's why I always say there's the 2 points. It's very specific, but because it's so specific, there's not much, it's not a time pressure then for you. You know it or you don't. Okay. Question next. Does CAIA provide extra an Excel worksheet in addition to erased pen paper? I'm not sure if they do. I think we can just check it out with CAIA. Just remember, of course, guys, for those that are coming across from CFA and have not written CAIA level 1, there's your calculator, the Texas BA2 Plus, okay, or the professional. And of course, the HP 12C can be used as well. Okay, so that is your calculator option. There's very little need, I can tell you, to use an Excel spreadsheet for the most part. Unlikely to have any, but yes, just remember, if you guys can see Kevin's point there, which is very valid, just remember, guys, you do get yourself either a 1-page whiteboard, or you get a couple papers of whiteboard papers, almost like a whiteboard pad with a whiteboard pen and an eraser as well. That's where you do all your rough workings. There is more than enough of that for you. Okay, guys, just have a quick look at when I'm going back. So we have handled 130 minutes per exam. Your exam window, guys, 17th till 28th of March, guys. You've got time. If anybody's stressing at this point in time, remember CAIA just closed the exam window last week. Okay, so it hasn't been a long time since they've and then what they obviously believe that if they closed the exam window just last week, that's enough time to cover the syllabus. So you've got time. Okay, and then of course there's an exam window in September as well. In terms of writing this exam, guys, you've got your 2 options. We don't really have 2 options. Generally speaking, they like you to do prometric. Prometric is when you go to the exam center to write, okay, versus online proctoring. And online proctoring, I think, if I'm not mistaken, at this point in time, it has got to be done you've got to make a specific request to do so. And guys, if it were up to me, I would make sure everybody did prometric, because it's a cleaner, more efficient way of writing. You go to a center, okay, where they provide you with a computer, a keyboard, a mouse, the papers, the pens, everything is there. It's a quiet environment, as opposed to a online proctoring, which is a little bit less so. Okay, but you may not have a choice. Your location may be remote, and then you may need to go for that option. Okay. Got a question over here. How many qualitative versus quantitative should we expect in the multiple choice? Guys, remember that there is a maximum. Okay, it's a little bit like derivatives. There's a max function. The maximum that they can ask you for quantitative calculation, mathematical questions is 30%. Okay. So, and again, that a lot of guys say, sure, that's fantastic. Okay, particularly those that don't are not so mathsy. The challenge that you've got with that, guys, is that 70% or more is qualitative theory, and you better know your theory. Okay, so it has its ups and it has its downs, doesn't it? Okay. By the way, there was one of the secretaries phoned me from many, many years back from one of the big asset managers here in South Africa, and desperate. She worked for an alternative investment, or she worked for a hedge fund, and desperately wanted to do CAIA, and but felt very unqualified to do so. And I told her at the time that, first of all, anybody that works hard can get through whatever they need to get through. Number one. Number two is that there's a lot of this exam. She said she doesn't know much about maths and that kind of stuff. And I told her that a lot of it is very qualitative based. She took it, and I think she got through. Okay. There we go. Okay, so guys, let us move on a little bit over here. Hopefully we've handled most people's, just a little bit of a look, guys, at what your exam will look like. I'll move on to the next page over here. So if you have a look at your exam, guys, and I'll just take you through the multiple choice question section first. Okay, you're likely to get, for each and every one of the first 7 topics, an average of about 14 multiple choice questions. As you can see, the maths didn't work out. So for 2 topics, I had to give them 15, not 14, giving us then a total of 100 marks. Remembering again, guys, that 100 marks is worth 70% of the total paper. Again, remembering, guys, you will not get any topic 8 nor topic 9 questions in your MCQs. Your MCQs, guys, just for those that want to see, they will be A, B's, and C's. And there are times that there will be A, B, C's, and D's, either a 3-parter or a 4-parter. Okay. That's your MCQ paper. And guys, that's a little bit similar to what you saw in CAIA Level 1. For the CFA guys coming across, you've seen MCQs before. I will give you a little bit of guidance on that as we go through. Okay. Looking at your constructed response paper over here, guys, okay, 10 marks, 10% for topic 8. And remember what we said a bit earlier, guys, for topic 8, very likely of the 5 readings that you've got there for topic 8, very likely that they're going to ask anywhere between 2 to 3 readings. So there, it's a no-brainer that you can't leave anything out. Okay. For when you get to universal investment consideration, emerging topics, sorry, guys, there are 8 readings, okay, and typically speaking, they stick with 1 historically. But again, that doesn't mean anything. They could do whatever they like. Okay. In terms of where will your third constructed response question come from? Somewhere there. My 2 cents worth of advice, and guys, please, and you'll notice, remember what I said to you a little bit earlier, I'm quite happy to give you my email address, and you can even have my WhatsApp number if you so choose. You've all got it anyway. Those are on the WhatsApp group, so there we go. Okay, but you never get my address. Okay, why not? My home address. Okay, that's because if I tell you something and it doesn't come true, then you're going to come hunt me down in my house. So you're not getting my home address. Okay, but my 2 cents worth over here, guys, is that these 2. Okay, now if we just break these down briefly, universal investment considerations, and I'm not sure who asked a little bit earlier, that is almost 100% qualitative or theory. Topic 9, emerging topics, 7 of the 8 topics also are qualitative. There is one reading right on the back end, okay, reading 9.8, which is rebalancing, buy and hold strategies, etc., etc. Quite calculation heavy. Okay, everyone comfortable with that? Okay, so when we look over here, most likely there's quite a lot of qualitative stuff coming from those two. So what CAIA have typically done, and guys, again, this is my 2 cents worth, what we've managed to pick up from them, typically speaking, that when you come to your third question, which is going to come from anywhere between topic number 1 through to topic number 7, it is likely to be quite calculation heavy in order to get the balance right. But remember, they could ask from emerging topics, they could ask you topic 9.8, which is rebalancing and portfolio construction. And then they don't have to ask calculation somewhere else. So it's not a guarantee by any means. It's a bit of guidance that we like to give. Okay. And the last little bit of guidance again, and when I said earlier, get guys, with pleasure, you can phone me and you can get me some advice. I'll give you all the advice that I could give you guys. One thing I can tell you, okay, and please don't ask, okay, what is in the exam? What are they going to ask from the constructed response sections? I have no idea. And I promise you, albeit that I've got a lovely relationship with all of the hierarchy up at CAIA, and I can proudly boast. Okay, those that know me, I'm not an arrogant person by any means, but I'm proud to tell you guys that the exiting, he's just left this year, the exiting CEO. Now he says I can use his name, by the way. He didn't let me use it before, but the outgoing CEO of CAIA, Bill Kelly, used Edge for his prep provider, and he passed level 1 and 2 first time, but both of those first times. So we are quite proud. And he says I can now mention it. I couldn't mention it before while he was still CEO, but there we go. And so I love the guys at CAIA. It's a fantastic group of guys, but no, they never ever tell me what's in this exam. Promise. Okay, so I don't know. Okay. And by the way, when you finish writing this exam and you're excited because you think you did well, or you want to ask a question, please don't tell me what was in the exam. You're not allowed to do that. Okay. So there are certain prep providers that say, we know what was in the exam. And I say, well, I don't want to know because it's not, we play by the rules. Okay. Guys, in terms of another question over here, do we have to memorize all the formulas? So the answer to that question is 95% of them you do need to memorize. Within the coming week or two, guys, I will send out, it's in your if you went through the entire Wiley textbook, you'll find the ones they call the exceptions. I'll give you a list of those guys with pleasure. I'll post them to the various forums that we have, just to let you know which ones you don't need to memorize. But I'll tell you how you know that you don't need to memorize it. Something like the Black-Scholes-Merton model, something like that. No memory. It's those big, long, difficult ones. Other ones, you got to. So basically, any formula that you see that looks a little bit normal, you got to memorize it. Okay, guys. One more question over here. For the third part of the constructed response, have they historically favored some topics over others? Not really. Andrew, what I can tell you is that they have favored calculations. That's why I'm a little bit more comfortable to give you that point. And it's a logical move because they are likely to ask you more theory in topic 8, topic 9, more qualitative. They're going to hit you with a little bit more maths calculations. They love things like conversions, convertible debt, convertible equity, things like that. We've got to work out ratios. And guys, a little bit of a trick to find out what could possibly come up in constructed response is always to remember that they are limited, okay, in what they can ask you for MCQs. But if there's a nice long calculation like the binomial, a binomial tree, okay, things like when you look at the interest rates and calibrating a tree, things like that, and it's got many little steps and parts to the calculation. The PME, guys, the long nickels, Okay, the Kaplan-Shor model. These are things that I would highly recommend that you know those calculations inside, outside, backwards, and forwards, because those are lovely ones that they can ask you for a construct response question as your third calculation question. Okay. All right, guys, we move on a little bit over here. And now, as mentioned, that was your brief introduction. Okay, not so brief. Okay, to looking at your exam. Now I want to handle both sections individually. So let's start off with multiple choice questions first. And I know most guys are quite familiar with these, but if you thought you were coming to today's session to have a nice time, I hope you are having a nice time. But if you thought you're going to come here and do no work, you're going to do a bit of work as well. Okay, that's coming up. Multiple choice questions, guys. Your MCQs contain 3 or 4 answers, A, B, C, A, B, C, D, mostly A, B, and C. As mentioned, less than 30% of the exam is calculation based. Don't leave any answer blank. Okay, guys, never, 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 never. Okay, no, there's no negative marking and you don't get penalized for guessing. Okay, you need to know the formulas by heart. You're not going to get a formula sheet in the exam. There we go. One point, and I will make this available to you guys if you want, with absolute pleasure. It's more related to CAIA level 1, but with pleasure if you want to have a bit of a refresh and have a look at it for 2024 with absolute pleasure. That's what we call the specific performance data for the various asset classes. Okay, and what we put together, and most of it comes from CAIA level 1. Okay, and any other performance data, guys, that you pick up in CAIA level 2, you don't need to know exact numbers. So, for example, if they say to you, by the way, here are the following 3 hedge funds, okay, and they give you a macro fund, and they give you an event-driven, okay, activist fund, okay, and then they give you an equity short selling fund. And they say to you that they're not going to say to you, what was the mean or average return on these 3 funds from 2020 through till 2024 over the last 25 years? No. How are they going to ask you if they want to ask you data about funds, data about standard deviations, risk, things like that? They're going to say to you, which of the following 3 hedge funds had the lowest mean return of all the funds that we've mentioned here, macro. So you don't need to know that macro generated a 7.8% mean return for the last 25 years. No. They'll say to you, which of the following have generated the lowest return or the highest return? So things like that. Okay. Question over here. Will there be questions related to CAIA level 1 contents that have not been? Generally not. No. But remember, Torben, how they want you to learn CAIA level 2 is just to have a sense of what was in level 1. Because remember, level 2 is allocating to portfolios and things like that. So yes, you do need to know a little bit about level 1 to be able to do that, but it's all in the notes and I've very seldom had a complaint from a student that wrote CAIA level 2 and said, so much of that exam was level 1 stuff. No. Okay. Guys, just a quick word on multiple choice. And we mentioned a little bit earlier, guys, okay, you have got to finish this exam. Now, what we've recently discovered, as I mentioned in the beginning, guys, you have got 78 seconds per multiple choice question. Okay. You got to finish. You got to finish. What are some of the tricks, guys? Some of the tricks is, guys, okay, you watch out for the time suckers. Okay. What is a time sucker, guys? The time sucker is one of those questions where CAIA know full well that it's going to take you more than 78 seconds. They know that. So ethically, principally, how can they put them in? Well, they know that there's going to be a few other questions that are nice and quick and you can answer quickly. But what's the problem with these time suckers, guys? What's the problem with them? I'll tell you exactly the problem with them is that you get involved. I am going to solve it. I am going to get it right. And remember, guys, 78 seconds, if you put your time watch on, okay, your stopwatch on, 78 seconds goes very quickly. But if you spend too much time and you spend sufficient time over, you spend 4 to 5 minutes on a question, and then you think to yourself, you know what? I have to finish this because I've already dedicated and invested 3 to 4 minutes. I've got to finish it. So you put another minute into it, and every extra minute that you put into it, you're losing out on another question, which we call the low-hanging fruit. Okay. Okay. So number one is the time suckers. And you can identify them quite quickly. Okay. And if you start a time sucker and you think, you know what you do, guys? Move on. Leave it out, guys. Okay, it's good exam strategy. Leave it out and move on. Okay, after 78 seconds, and I'm not asking people to keep exact times of things, but if you feel that your time is running short, move on. And there are quite a few of these, not that many, but this is what can hurt you from finishing the exam. Number two, you don't know the answer. Okay, you don't know it. What do? You move on. Okay, don't try to work it out. Okay, because very unlikely, and I say this with kindness, guys, but very unlikely that if you don't know the answer, that you can work it out from the words, and you try and if you don't know it, move on. Okay, and what do you do when you move on? By the way, you wave goodbye to the question. You say thank you. Why do you say thank you? You've got more time for another question where you've got a much better chance of answering. Okay, and my last little bit of strategy, guys, on MCQs is as follows. Okay, let's just say, for example, okay, guys, you got 130 minutes. Now we know that. Okay, and you turn around at your clock, and your clock says 127 minutes, which means 3 minutes left. That means you're not giving any commentary today, guys. Okay, 3 minutes left. What do? And let's say, for example, you look at that and you're up to question 91. So you've got 91, 92, 93, 4 and 5, 96, 97, 98. You've got 10 more questions to do. And you've got 3 minutes. Okay. What do? First and foremost, remember, guys, you never leave anything out. Okay. So you've got 3 minutes to go. Okay. So if your name is Abigail, you go for A's. A. It doesn't take you more than 3 minutes to put A's down over there, and away you go. Okay. If your name is Bongi, you put B's all the way down. Okay. Carl is going to put C's. What does that do for you, guys? Okay. I had one guy, I was absolutely shattered when he told me the CFA charter, well, he's now a charter holder, but he wasn't at the time. And he didn't finish, and he said, I had about 10 or 12 more questions to do. And you know what I did? I'm thinking, please tell me that you did what I've told tell all my candidates to do. He says, yeah, he went A, B, C, A. I said, out of those 10 marks, you probably got 0. If you do my strategy, guys, you've got 10 marks to go, and you only put one letter, guys, what are you going to get? Most likely, law of probabilities, 3 or 4 marks. Okay, because out of A, B, and C, if you pick the same one all the time, okay, you're likely to get 3 of the marks or 4 of the marks based on probabilities. Is everybody comfortable with that? Okay, so remember, guys, as you're coming to the end of the exam, remember what we said over here. I want to just take you back. Point number 2. What do we say over here, guys? You got these ones over here. You didn't know them. So what do? Again, guys, everyone that you don't know, and there's going to be 4, 5, 6 of them in the exam that you say to yourself, was that even in the syllabus? I don't remember that being in the syllabus. I don't even know what that's even talking about. I don't know that calculation. I can't work it out. Same thing. For these that you don't know, just before you wave goodbye to the question, guys, if your name is Abigail, you put your stock standard A over there. Okay. And every time you get one that you don't know at all and don't really have if you've got a good chance of working it out, guys, work it out. But I'm talking about when I say point number 2 over here, okay, other than the time suckers, those that you really don't know. There'll be a couple of them, 5, 6, 7 in the exam. Again, for those ones, put your A's, because remember, guys, if there are, say, 6 of them that you don't know at all, and you put all A's or all B's or all C's for those, what are you going to get? 2 free marks. But again, only do the strategy for these ones that you don't know, guys, and put your A's, B's, or C's if you really don't know. If you can work it out, go ahead. Okay, but guys, please, no, I don't want anyone to phone me after the exam and say they didn't finish this whole paper. I don't care what you put down, A's, B's, or C's. You got to finish. Everyone comfortable? Okay. As promised, you're going to do some work for me now. I'm getting tired. Okay, I'm not really. Okay. But let's get going. What I've done over here, guys, is I've put together just to make sure that we can get our timing right over here. And just to have a look together, guys, I put together a little bit of a practice exam for you. It's only 7 MCQs. And because it's MCQs, you can see there's no questions coming from topic 8 or topic 9. Of course, they're not examined in terms of MCQs, that we know. So I've only put together questions from topic 1 through till 7. I've made 2 of them calculation based, which obviously takes us under the limit of 30% max being calculation. And what I thought to do, I don't know how many of them we'll get to do together, but let us start together, guys. I'm going to find my cell phone somewhere here on my desk. Give me a sec. Here we go. And I'm going to put my timer on, which gives you, okay, 70, we'll give you between 72 to 78 seconds for each question, guys. Okay. That's how long we're going to give you. As soon as you've got an answer, guys, pop it in the chat. Okay, so let me get my timer ready. I'm gonna put the question here for you. I've got my stopwatch on. Okay, let's start with question number 1, guys. It's a theory question. You've got 72 seconds, guys. As you've got the answer, pop it into the chat. Okay. Let me make it just that little bit bigger, just in case people can't see. Oops, maybe it might be too big. Okay, there we go. Question number 1, guys, start. The stopwatch is on. As soon as you've got an answer, pop it in the chat. Okay, guys, we've gone 78 seconds and we've got 8 answers, guys, out of 54 people on call. Okay. Now, I'm going to stop the time watch, whatever that thing's called, stopwatch. Okay. Let's have a look at this one. And what do we learn from this one? All I care about is that as we move along, we learn. Okay. And look at this question. This question says, when adopting the total portfolio approach, and by the way, guys, focus, please, on this one. It's the new reading, the brand new reading from asset allocation. It's reading 2.2. It's the brand new one that was added in from scratch for this year. Okay, 2025. When adopting the TPA approach, one of the issues is that on an ex-ante basis, what's ex-ante, guys? Forward-looking. Okay, many well-diversified portfolios have got similar risk-return characteristics. On an ex-post basis, these portfolios have got very different realized returns. Based on this, additional heuristics, okay, and judgment. Heuristics is almost like rule of thumb, and judgment is required to identify the portfolio best suited for the investor's objective. Then the question asks you, which of the following terms best describes the above mentioned issue? Now, again, I'm not sure who mentioned it earlier, but guys, what do you know? Either you know what it is, because these are not terms that are floating around the industry generally. Okay, model error, flat max problem, or banality of benchmarks problem. Now, either, again, guys, can you see why I specifically put this one in? Not to scare you, but to motivate you. Either you've seen this or you haven't. Okay, let's just see what our 8 people put together. Okay, those that knew it: Alex B, Mark B, Julian B, Jeremy B, Henrik B, Andrew B, James B, you B as well. Okay, you guys are all right. But I can see only the guys that knew it answered. Okay, and that's a bit scary. It's 8 guys out of 55, something like that. Okay, but guys, can you see what I'm just trying to illustrate over here? This is how they ask. So you've got another 6 weeks to study, more than enough time. Put your work in, but just understand how you need to study and what are the things we are looking for in this exam. Okay, guys, I'm only going to do, and I can see I've given you 7 over here altogether. We're not going to have time to do them all. Let's just do 1 or 2 more together. Okay. I'm not going to do question 2 with you, but other than just to illustrate to you how they like to ask these ones, guys, they often give you quite a few points. They give you a bit of a story and a few points, and they say which of the following are most likely correct, etc. 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, all of the above, etc., etc. Just know that as well. So can you see how well you've got to know your work? You may say, well, I know that number 1 is correct. Okay, well, then that's B, C, and D. But now, looks like 2, yeah, I think that one's correct as well. So I'm down to those 2. Can you see how well you got to know your work, guys? Okay. I'm not going to upset anybody with question number 3 because it's a smoothing question, that how to smooth real estate, but that's I don't want to put that one in now, but okay. Let me just find, okay. Let's look at question number 4, guys. Okay. I'm going to set my timer on. And question number 4, everybody get going. Start. Question number 4. From topic 4. Pop your answers in as soon as you got them. Okay, 78 seconds is up, guys. Okay. And the 2 answers that I got, I've only got 2 answers, by the way, after 78 seconds. That was from Henrik. And Henrik, you gave yourself away by answering so soon, which means that you've seen this one before. Okay, it's a past CAIA question, I know. Okay, James, I'm not sure. You might have had time to work it out. I don't know. Okay, but guys, if you have a look at this question, what is this one? This is your quintessential time sucker. Okay. Now, why do we define this one then, guys, as a time sucker? Reason being, guys, is because it's got a lot of information. The actual calculation is not that bad. And by the way, guys, for all of these, I have given you solutions as well. I'll make this available to you. Of course, guys, they're all your solutions. And there is your solution to I'm not going to go through it with you guys, but there is number B. Okay, so yeah, it was a little bit of a question. You had to put a bit of time into it. But more than that, it's one of those that really upset people. And you start to work it out and you think, well, can I use this approach? Can I use, and there's 2 approaches to do it with. You could have gone continuously compounded. You could have gone the discrete method, which is more, a little bit easier, but you've got to work out your numbers. And this is a past CAIA question. So when you see one like this, guys, and you have a look at it, and you say to yourself, you know, this is going to take too long. You've got 2 choices. Okay. Choice number 1 is you put your letter, your A. Okay. Someone else might have a B and someone else might have a C. You put your letter in and you move on. Another option over here with these time suckers, guys, is to flag it. Okay. When you flag it, what flagging it means, guys, is that you put the flag there to come back to it at a later point in time. So what are you doing? What are you doing by that, guys? You're saying, I don't know what it is. I don't know the answer, but I can see this looks very much to me as I read it. It's going to take up too much of my time. And flag it. I'll come back to it at the end and hope and pray that at the end you are going to have some time. Remember, guys, please, 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 at the end of your exam, take the last 4 or 5 minutes of your exam. Stop over there. Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter where you are. Okay, don't try and do 1 or 2 more. Just go back and say, well, what have I not yet done? What have I flagged? What have I not yet answered at all? And put your A's, your B's, your C's, just to make sure you've got an answer over there, guys. Okay, so remember, guys, stop your exam a couple minutes before the actual end if you are not yet finished, and go back, fill in all the flags. You won't be able to do them, but just put your A's or your B's or your C's, as well as answering anything else there that you haven't yet answered. Okay. I'm not sure if there is an on-screen calculator again. My sense is that they will give it to you. I think they have done it in the past, so very likely. Okay. I do apologize, guys. Well, I don't have to apologize. It's just the weather. Okay. We got a lovely storm brewing in the back end. So if you, I hope that's a good omen. Rain is always a good omen. So there we go. Okay. So if a bit of a noise, I do apologize. Okay. Okay. So yes, there should be a calculator for you over there. If you're more, most of the guys at Torben are more used to using their own Texas calculators, whichever one works for you. Okay, guys, I want to move on a little bit over here. Okay, and last one, just to make sure we are all okay on board. Let us have a look, guys. I'm going to time you. Question number 6. Go for it. Question number 6. Make it a bit bigger for you as well. Okay, guys, 78 seconds. We gave you 13 answers. Let's see what we've got over here, guys. 14 answers. And we are getting mostly B's. B. I hope people aren't just copying from each other, but everyone got B's. And of course, guys, B is the correct answer. But again, what do you guys see from this particular question? Okay, these terms generally, okay, are not that common. Okay, view commonality, exposure inertia, alpha decay, etc. These are terms, guys, that you know them because you studied them, and well done. And you've remembered them, also well done. Not so easy to remember everything because there's a lot of stuff to remember, but you've got to spend the time, guys, going through the information. It's not simple, not easy. Okay. We've got a question over here. Let's just handle the question, and then we are going to move on, guys, to constructed response. Okay. Yes, Torben, you're right. I was trying to confuse you. Okay. That's why I put the commonality there. You're right. Okay. But Torben, that's what they do. So you can see, Torben, you knew the answer, so it didn't fool you. But if you don't know it, you are most 90% of the guys that haven't seen this before, they're going to say, oh, something over here in the question. Oh, look at this question. This question said, for the common view to change, oh, it must be view commonality. No. Okay. You see what I'm saying, guys? So you got to know, and I know someone said this a little bit earlier on and said it so brilliantly well. Yes, you just have to know your work so well. I can't say it in any other way. I wish I could give you a little bit more, but you've got to, that's CAIA level 2. Okay. Guys, we move on over here, and there's the solutions, guys. After today's session, I will make this available to everybody, of course. I'll give you the notes as well as the questions and the video content from today. We talk about constructive response, and we've dealt with this a lot already. I want to just give you a little bit of guidance as we move through quite quickly. There's 3 constructed response questions in your exam. They may cover any of the exam topics. We know that, okay? We know where 2 will come from, but the third one can come from anywhere. What is so important about as you study for constructed response, guys, is to remember it's not an essay. Why do I say it's not an essay? Because if you have a look over here, this is what your exam is going to look like. Question number 1 on emerging topics. And if I was a betting man, I would put it to TA. Could be. That's where I would ask if it were me. Okay. And question number 1 over there starts. They tell you question number 1 is worth 10 marks, as we know. But question number 1 is broken down into what? Part A, Part B, Part C1 and Part C2, Part D and Part E. Okay, so if you have a look at the mark structure over here for this particular question, what is it going to look like? Part A, probably 2 marks of the 10. Part B, probably 2 marks. Part C, 1 mark each over there. Part D, probably a 2 marker as well. And Part D, probably 2 marks. Sum together, there's your 10 marks. Okay, and can you see what they've done? And now that's why it's so important to remember, guys, this is not an essay. It's a constructed response. In other words, you need to construct your response to what is being asked, to give an answer, to come up with the correct answer from what you have on what's being asked of you. But it's not an essay, and that's clearly evidence, guys. It's a good and it's a bad. It's not an essay, number 1, so you don't have to write this whole long thing like you do typically in CFA level 3. But on the other side, being 2 markers, 2 markers, 2 markers, 1 marker, those are very specific questions that you've got another answers to, guys. Okay. Question. Let's have a look over here. Okay. Where can we access past CAIA mock exams? They make one available to you, and often they don't give you the answers, unfortunately. Okay. Torben, will we see the allocation to each question? Yeah. Generally, you will. And Torben, part of what we did at Edge and part of what is your job as the answerer of the question is to, when you look at the question, say, it's, the question says, provide 2 examples, then it's probably going to be 2 marks. State 3 reasons. Okay, things like that. TA is Takahashi Alexander, by the way. That's one of the new readings. Okay. Added into emerging topics. Okay. It's a lovely reading. Okay. It's a private equity reading. Okay. Do take a look at that one. It's a nice one. Okay. There we go. Okay. So we continue onwards with a little bit more strategy over here. Okay. Answers need to be typed in to the computer. Each part of the 3 questions can be answered quite quickly, quite simply, guys. Just remember, guys, this is hopefully a bit of comfort for those that are not English speaking first language. It doesn't matter, guys. I know it's a bit more difficult for you, granted, okay? But you don't need full sentences. You don't need grammar. Spelling is fine. And of course, we've said before, guys, there is no time pressure there as well, okay? This is the key. Here's the whole key. Strong focus on knowing the material. The questions are very, very specific. Okay. And the last little bit of advice I can give you on constructed response before we continue, before we look at a practice question, is that don't do shotgun. What's shotgun? The question says to provide 2 examples. So you're not sure, you've got 5, so you write all 5. Okay. So they ask for 2, and you write 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do you get? You know what they do? They rule a line over there after number 2 of your answers, and they cross that out. They don't even look at it, and they just mark number 1 and number 2. Okay, they are not going to look at anything. If they ask for 2, guys, first and foremost, just write down the 2. You're wasting time. Not that time is a huge pressure, as mentioned earlier, number 1, but number 2 is, guys, they're not going to mark them. So your best advice that I could give you, guys, is just to put down the best possible solutions that you've got for those examples, descriptions, whatever it happens to be. If they ask for 2, give them 2. If they ask for 1, give them 1, but give them your best one. Okay, because that's where you're going to score the marks. Okay, we've got a question over here. No time pressure means there's literally no timer. You know what, Torben, I've never ever had anybody battle for time on it. Okay, I think I'm the last twit that wrote for the full 2 hours. But Torben, you know what, my suggestion to everybody, of course, is when you practice constructed response questions, you've got a little square that you need to type in your exam. Physically type in before the exam. Practice that you can type into the squares. Okay, don't you know what a lot of guys do for constructed response, which is an ill-advised strategy, is they say they look at 5 or 6 constructed response questions and say, yeah, that looks easy. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. Bad strategy, guys. What I suggest that you do is you sit down for a complete constructed response paper, or 2 or 3 or 4, however many you got your hands on, okay, and do the questions, type them out, sit for a full 2 hours, see if it does take you 2 hours. It shouldn't. Okay, but don't go into the exam fully prepared, guys. Okay, do your work beforehand. Do a practice paper. There's 3 questions in every practice paper, guys, that you get. Okay, do them. Type, sit, undisturbed, type and see, can you do this? Don't just look at it and say, oh, I can do that. That looks easy. Seen that before. Yeah. It's a different ball game when you're actually fingers on the keyboard and under exam pressure. Put yourself under that pressure before the exam, guys. Okay. All right. And lastly, what I want to just have a look over here, guys, is just to take, we've got about another 15 odd minutes together. So let's just have a look at a practice question. So one more question over here. Okay. Let's just see. Okay. Someone answering for somebody else. Okay. Practice question. Guys, have a look over here. And this is your typical question. They're not long. They're not crazy. Okay. So let's have a look over here. James Formsby CAIA is an expert on DeFi, decentralized finance. And straight away, what do you know, guys? That when you look at constructed response, particularly, guys, when you're looking at topic 9, which we call emerging topics breaks down into 2. Half the topics over there are private equity topics, and the other half, we call them tech. Why do I call them tech? DeFi, cryptocurrencies, things like that. Okay. So now you can see, well, they've decided, and that's why typically they don't overlap in topic 9, and they stick typically to one specific section. Okay, let's have a look over here. James Formsby is an expert on DeFi. He's giving an introductory class to a group of banking students at Big Bank. And often, guys, they just talk a lot of nonsense because it's just to try and fill up the page a little bit. He makes the following statement. DeFi makes use of a multi-layered architecture. Now, if you haven't seen this, you're probably starting to sweat at this point already. You say, I don't know what this even means. Each layer within the structure builds upon each other to form the DeFi building blocks. And again, if you study this, you know exactly what the DeFi building blocks are. If you haven't, okay. A key concept behind DeFi is that the layers are hierarchical. The top layers are only as secure as the layers underneath them. Using your knowledge of DeFi, which of the 5 layers in the stack creates user-oriented applications that connects to the various individual protocols? And describe how this layer achieves this connection. Now, I see there are 1 or 2 questions. I'm going to go through those in a second, but let's just look at this particular question first. Now, just so important with constructed response. Number 1 is, of course, you've got to know the material. But often what they do in these constructed response questions is they layer question upon question. So this is part A. This is worth 2 marks. What did they ask you over here? And just be very mindful of this, guys. They say to you, which of the 5 layers creates user-oriented applications that connects to the various protocols? That is the end of the question. The first part of the question. You need to answer that separately. So number 1 is, using your knowledge of DeFi, which of the 5 layers in the stack? Answer that question. It's a 1-worder. Well, 2-3-worder, sorry, but that's all that it is. That's all they're asking. They're saying, which of the 5 layers? So first and foremost, guys, you need to be mindful of what the 5 layers are. Number 2, now you need to say which one we are dealing with. Then it says to you, and this is part 2, guys. Part A is essentially broken down into the first part that says states which of the 5 layers. And part 2 says to you, describe how it works. And what you're going to find, you're going to say it's worth 2 marks. So how do we break down these 2 marks over here? 1 mark, 1 mark. But you say, but hold on a second. How can it be 1 mark for state and another mark for describe? Surely describe is more and is bigger. That's how they work. Okay. Let's have a quick look at this. We've got some answers over here. Hopefully they're answers. Okay. An oracle, an aggregation layer, an application layer. Okay, and application. We've got different answers over here. I'll take you to the solution over here, guys. Okay, and I'll show it to you here. It is the application layer, but can you see, guys, this becomes more difficult because you don't have any answers. You don't have an ABC in front of you. Okay, so for 1 mark, guys, application layer. 2nd mark, the interaction is usually done via a web browser front end, making the protocol easier to use. Like you do something like Internet Explorer or Chrome from Google or anything like that. But look over here. What I really want to point out to you is I've gone overboard here. Because for part A, part 1 of that, I just needed to say application layer. So I can, in fact, to get your full mark, you didn't need the extra commentary that I provided. Okay, 1 mark, 3 words. The application layer, 3 words, not long. Part 2, look at that. Part 2 of part A. The interaction is usually done via a web browser front end, like a Internet Explorer or something like that. That makes the protocol easier to use. 1 mark. I've answered that question. I've got 2 out of 2, guys. Okay. And I haven't even used 2 lines. Can you see that? No long sentences, no grammar, no essays, no nothing. Short and easy. But the thing that you needed to be careful about over here, guys, is what? Number 1 is that you answer the whole question. They're a little bit tricky over here. Sometimes they do put them as a 1 and a 2, but sometimes not. And then just divide the question up. What I always suggest to candidates, guys, is go back and read it afterwards. Have you answered the whole question? Okay, every part of it. So go back and read your answer, then go back and read it again and say, using your knowledge of DeFi, which of the 5 layers in the stack creates a user-oriented applications, blah, 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 and describe how, and ask yourself the question, have you stated which layer it is, and have you described how it is used? Okay. And guys, can you see again, I'm not meaning to scare anybody over here. As part of our masterclass, part of the advice I give the guys is to look at those particular videos over there, guys, and go over them again and again. Sometimes these videos, guys, and we made them available to provide, just watch them 2-3 times. I think if my maths is correct and if my memory is correct, I did the maths for you. And in total, all the videos, guys, that we at Edge put together for you, covering the whole of topic 8 plus topic 9, are only 8 hours. So if you spend the time and you even do it 2 or 3 times, you'll know everything. Okay, so it's very, very valuable to spend the time going through the material. And as I say, it's 8 hours of time investment to go through all of topic 8 and all of topic 9. The rest of it is more work. Yes, topic 1 to topic 7, but you can cover the two topics, and then you're guaranteed of 2/3 of the marks. Okay. I want to do 1 or 2 more of these with you guys. I've got about 10 minutes left to go. Okay. And look over here. Again, part B. Forms B continues his class with a discussion about a new class of cryptocurrency that is backed by a reserve asset. Now, again, guys, I know I'm sounding like the little, that little dog that bites at your ankles continuously. Okay. But it's, the only reason that I do that, guys, is for your benefit. And number 2 is we still got time till exam time. Okay. The question says, now look over here. And again, this is a 3 marker. What is the name of this cryptocurrency? big block over there, make a line. And then state the two primary objectives of this currency, 3 marks. I'm not sure who asked a little bit earlier, do they give you the mark allocation? They do, but often within a question they don't. But that's easy. And look what you do. So they've said, what is the name of this cryptocurrency? I'll tell you guys that's worth the mark. State 2 primary objectives, another 2 marks. The 1 and the 2, here is your 3. So you part of what you need to do, guys, and it's not overly difficult and crazy, is to work out the marks in these particular questions. Everybody comfortable? Okay. CBDC, stablecoin. Okay. And let's have a look over here, guys. I'll take you to the solution, but you can start to see a trend emerging with these types of questions, guys. Okay. And stablecoin. Again, guys, I gave too much commentary, but let me read it to you anyway so we can at least learn from what we're seeing today. A stable coin is a new class of crypto that attempts to offer price stability and is backed by a reserve asset, 1 mark. But again, your 1 mark was scored by just saying 1 word. Stable coin, 1 word, 1 mark. Okay. Stable coins, now we say what is the objective? Number 1 is the instant processing and security or privacy of payments of cryptos, and it also gives you the volatility-free, stable valuations of fiat currencies like the dollar or any other currency that is out there. Those are the 2. But again, what do you notice? You've now scored 5 marks altogether, and you haven't even written 4 lines. Okay, so what do you notice? 2 things should become very obvious to you as we start to go through these questions. Number 1 is that you've got to know your material very well. And number 2 is we don't need long, fancy answers. You are not under time pressure. That's not your challenge. You have a challenge. Your challenge is to try and find the correct answers over here. That's not easy. Okay. But your challenge is not necessarily, okay, long time. Okay. Good. And I'm just going to show you the rest of the question. We're not going to do them together, but just to show you how they ask. Okay. And a bit of a story. And then they say to you, state 2 lender protections that stop the borrower from running away with the lender's funds. Okay. And again, what do you notice over here? State 2. What do we say before? When they say state 2, how many must you put? 2. What if you've got 3? What must you do? Think about your 3 that you've got and put down your best 2, because they're not going to mark the 3rd. So if you can think of 3 and you think, but I've got 3. Put down your best 2. Okay. Think about the 3 that you got. Put down your best 2. Okay. Let's have a look over here. Part D. Can you see, guys? I'm already on to part D. So each question is broken down into many, many different parts. Part D. One of the class participants, Raya Zorkova, is interested in decentralized order book exchanges. She wants a system in which there's no need for any additional infrastructure or third-party hosts. When you read this question, you think to yourself, but where's this from? Word for word from your notes, guys. Okay. Remember, whenever they discuss something like over here, like, for example, a decentralized order book exchange, they're going to tell you a little bit about it in your notes. What is a decentralized order book exchange? Who uses them? What are their advantages? What are their limitations? It's all in the notes. Okay. And again, look over here, guys. State with reasons which type of order book she's most likely to make use of. 2 marks. And what would you say? 1 mark to state what it is, and 1 mark to give a reason. The English here wasn't great. It should state and provide a reason. Reasons is more plural, I understand. Not a greatly worded question. Okay. And lastly, guys, let's see if we can end off on a high. Guys, help me out here. Last question. Everybody participate. Forms B, Part E. Forms B concludes this class by mentioning the risks associated with DeFi. DeFi, decentralized finance. He makes the following statement. The Ethereum blockchain is regarded as being relatively decentralized and secure. However, Ethereum battles to keep up with the demand for block space. What is the name of this DeFi risk? Guys, help me. What is the name of this DeFi risk? Okay, Kaiten, you were in first. You're a superstar. Well done, Kaiten. Timothy, thank you. Henrik, thank you. Scalability. Okay, but guys, can you see again? It's 1 word. You got to know it. Okay. Guys, Thank you very much. We've still got 5 minutes. I'm just going to show you what we've got available for you. Okay. I always fight a little bit with my marketing team. My marketing team says that we don't advertise enough. So I said, don't worry, we'll talk. We'll show you what products we've got available. So let us just do that very, very briefly. And remembering, guys, of course, I will make both this particular presentation available to you as well as the notes. Just one last point over here. How to become a CAIA charter holder. You pass both exams, and unfortunately, guys, you need to wait around about 6 weeks after the exam window closes. That's end of March. Add on 6 weeks, and then typically you get your results. Okay. As promised, guys, here is my email address, russell@jdbs.co.za, and there is our web address as well. Okay. Just in terms of what we've got available for you, now it depends where you are in your studies. If you still have a lot of information you need to study and you need a bit of a shorter cut to go through all of the material, take this one. What this is, guys, this is we give you option 2 and option 3 as part of this particular option. And what that does for you, it takes you through the entire syllabus, the entire CAIA Level 2 syllabus with notes, with videos, and a question bank. Okay, and after that, it gives you the revision program and practice exams as well. So if you're not yet finished studying and you need a bit of help to speed up the process, use that one. At the moment, that one normally $450, guys, 50% discount, $225. That's available then on the website. If you have finished studying and you got your feet up and you are relaxing, I hope that's where everybody is. Okay. Then you go for option 3. Option number 3 is what we call just revision and exam program. Normally $150. Okay. For today and tomorrow, we've got it down to $99. Please don't forget to use the coupon code over there just for today and for tomorrow. And what this gives you, guys, is a complete revision of the CAIA Level 2 syllabus in video format, notes format as well, and then it gives you 6 practice exams as well as the formula sheet as well. 2 days, and you can get it at $99. And lastly, if you are finished but you're a bit stressed and worried about constructed response, as promised here, guys, here is our constructed response masterclass for CAIA Level 2, which is a program catered specifically towards constructed response for CAIA Level 2. It's got all new videos on how to handle it, strategy, history, how we look at it, the different approaches as well. The regular price, $299. We introduced the product at $199. 1 day only. You can have it for $99. Okay. I did tell my marketing team I will make it available to you guys. That offer ends tomorrow. But again, guys, please, if you want to get it, use that coupon code and you can get it at that price. Okay. For 1 day only. Well, today and tomorrow. Okay. Guys, that is everything that we've got available for you. Hopefully today's session has been valuable to you and you've learned something new and you've got a bit of exam strategy. As mentioned, guys, if I take you back up over here, here is my email address. Okay, please, if you've got any questions, queries, concerns about your specific situation, please feel free to reach out. We are definitely here to help you. At this point, I've got a minute left of my time. Okay, and I'm going to wish everybody the most amount of success for your exam. We don't wish you luck. Luck is for people that haven't studied. Okay, we wish you the most amount of success in their exam. Okay, and best of luck to everybody. A little bit of luck because that everything should just go your way in the exam. Okay. Best wishes from us here at Edge Designations and the whole team. And hopefully we will see you not in CAIA anymore, but if you remember, we do everything else, CFA, FRM, anything else like that. We would love to see you for those. Best of luck, guys, and chat to everybody soon. Cheers, guys.